Hello guys, and welcome to another day with Zimaleta. In today's video, we're going to be talking about expediting and expediting insurance. Specifically, this video is going to be about expediting. Anyways guys, they told me I had a little bit of time to wait for the load. So I thought I was going to make a video while waiting. Turns out they got the load to me quicker than I figured. So anyways, I have to actually get going and start driving. So I know the sound is going to be a problem to try to record if I don't use some kind of headset. I do have like a wireless headset that I could use, but I have to set it up and everything. I'm not set up for that yet. So I need to kind of like test it and everything like that. But anyways, hopefully this original iPhone 7 headset is going to have better sound than just with no with nothing plugged in at all. So I guess let's figure this out. So anyways, let's get into it. Let's talk about insurance, and let's talk about how expensive the insurance is. Insurance, as you know, it's very expensive. And everybody that you're going to talk to, they're going to tell you that they're paying a lot of money. I heard people paying anywhere from $600 a month all the way up to $1,000 and even over $1,000 a month. Seriously guys, that's a lot of money. But on an average, people are paying about $500 a month for insurance. So what kind of insurance is costing us so much? What kind of insurance is this, and what kind of coverages? Well, we're not going to get into all of the coverages, but we're going to get into the two main factors that all the companies look at, and somebody like that give the load and stuff, brokers and stuff, they look at that as well. So that is having $1 million liability and $100,000 cargo. These two insurances are completely separate, so they don't put them usually under one. Maybe Progressive does. Probably why it's so much more over there. So that's going to be the key factor, is how can you get these two insurances cheaper? Well, one of the ways of getting it cheaper is just get insurance. It's called non-trucking insurance, which would be bobtail insurance. So if you get in trucking insurance, you're going to get charged out of the box a lot of money. So non-trucking liability is pretty much bobtail insurance, and you're going to get charged not that much, maybe like $100 plus every month. Go figure, maybe like closer to 100 and stuff like that. I actually pay very cheap insurance, and I'm not gonna really mention how much I'm getting paid unless some of you guys already know it. I just don't want to really brag and say I have really cheap insurance. Insurance prices, they vary from person to person. Driving history to driving history. Credit history plays a big part in your insurance. So if you have a bad or low credit score, you're going to end up paying for your insurance a lot higher. Because what insurance company looks at, they think, well, if your credit is bad, that shows that you're a bad character, and possibly you're not going to be responsible with driving if you're not responsible with money. So, they're going to think you're going to have a higher chance of causing accidents or what have you, which is not fair. It's completely not fair. So that's a major factor in insurance, whether they tell you this or not. And there's several other factors, like for instance, what state do you live in, what city, even like what zip code. That plays a major part in your insurance, because some states, like for instance like New York, there's places like for instance like Brooklyn, it costs a lot of money for insurance down there, and some other areas over there too, because people do a lot of false claims down there. They'll make accidents happen just so they could get like insurance payouts and stuff. So those towns are going to be getting paid a lot more, going to pay a lot more for insurance than, let's say, like somebody, I don't know, let's just say like somewhere Mississippi, where there's like not a lot of population or whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't even know if they have the cheapest insurance, but I'm just trying to find out like what would be like the smallest type of town or whatever. But if there's more people in the city, there's more cars and stuff, there's more chances of accident to happen. You're going to be paying higher insurance. If there's more claims in that area, you're going to be paying higher insurance. For instance, I moved to South Carolina. I was under the impression that it's cheaper insurance than North Carolina, Well, I couldn't be more wrong than that. When I moved down there, I found out that it's actually not cheaper. But I did have a cheaper insurance, for instance, like when they made a mistake and they placed me somewhere in South Carolina under whatever, and it was like much, much, much cheaper when they did, made a mistake. But anyways, guys, I guess in this video, I would like to actually talk about like how could you get that price down some, and how could you try to at least eliminate some of these higher costs. And one of them is also going to be on your vehicle. If you have a brand new vehicle, you're going to have a higher chance of getting loads. You'll have, well, not necessarily loads. You're gonna have a higher chance of getting hired. With loads, once you're hired, it doesn't matter what year van you have. You could have a old van like me, and you're still gonna do well because you're hired. Your grandfather did. Once they get into the hustle and bustle of things and looking for loads and loading people and stuff, well, you're going to be getting loaded just as good as any, especially if you do good work. So, but by having a new van, let's say you bought a van for $50,000. Some people pay more, some people less. But my dad just recently bought a van for $65,000. So he's going to need a coverage for $65,000 of a van, So if you got a van for $50,000 or $40,000 or below, well, you're not going to want to cover it for any less. Well, they're not even going to let you to cover it for less, because if you still owe payments on it, So you're going to need to get appropriate coverage for that, and in case of an accident or something, so that insurance company is going to pay off the dealer or the finance company, whoever you got the van from, and everybody goes home happy, I guess. But if you got a brand new van, well, you're going to be paying a really expensive premium. So one of the ways of lowering your insurance costs is lowering the year of your van. The older it is, the cheaper it is, in my opinion. I'm not going to say I know everything when it's that factor, but I got a 2006 Sprinter van. It's old, obviously. And my insurance is much cheaper. But then again, another way of lowering it is saying, hey, I don't want full coverage. I want just liability coverage. So I actually just have liability coverage. What does that mean? Well, in case of an accident, if I hit somebody, they're going to cover the person that I hit, but they're not going to pay me for anything. So I'm going to be stuck with fixing my own vehicle. So if you're capable of fixing your own vehicle, you could say, hey, I just want liability. I don't want full coverage, just so you could save. That's what I did. Another factor of lowering your insurance cost, if you're working locally in your city, and you say, look, I'm only going to be driving 20, 40, 50 miles or whatever in the city to try to make deliveries and stuff, your insurance is going to be cheaper. If you're going to be working long distance, they're going to ask you, well, how many mile radius? And sometimes insurance companies, they put down like 500 mile radius. Well, some agents was doing that to save people money, but people got in trouble over that, because the insurance company gonna say, hey, you're outside your radius, we're not gonna pay this claim. So they're smart. So if you're gonna choose a wrong radius, well, in the case of an accident, they're not gonna pay, and then you're gonna get sued or whatever, So those are kind of like some of the factors. So if you don't want to break any rules or lie to insurance companies or whatever, to try to get in trouble, one of the other ways of saving is actually finding a company that's a fairly big company. And let's just use Bolt, for instance. Bolt Logistics, they're going to say, well, you're going to need to have a new van, of course. They're probably going to want a van that's no older than 5 years. And they're going to say, well, you need to go under our insurance, which is fine. Your insurance might be like $150 a month with them. Could be less. So you could easily go from paying $500 a month, $600 a month, $1,000 a month, to as low as $150 a month. Working with somebody like Bolt or some other big brand, big logistics company out there. And the reason that they're able to provide such cheaper insurance, well, they got the buying power. Because they got a lot of people working with them, and they're using their own insurance to try to basically put on those vans, well, they have all the buying power. So So they're making money probably from insurance. They're making money from drivers, and they're helping drivers save money because they're buying so much insurance. So they're pretty much an insurance company as well, you know. So that's also like one of the things that working for like somebody like a big company like Bolt, for instance, you get their insurance, you're saving money, but they don't want you to work with nobody else. They're gonna say, look, you need to work strictly for us. And technically, legally, they can't do that, because if you're an owner operator, you're using your own equipment. That company hired you as a contractor, so they can't technically tell you that you can't work for any other company. As a matter of fact, if you don't work for any other companies, it's considered that you're not a contractor, believe it or not. So that's what IRS wants to know. Like, well, can that person, for instance, if once he's not doing your load, can he do a load for somebody else? And they're gonna say no, he has to work for us. Well, he's considered an employee, because you're telling him when he can work and when he cannot work, and that he only has to work with you. So that's one of the questions if IRS will dig into any company like that. Those companies could get in trouble. They are saying you need to work strictly with us, for us. They're probably not realizing this fact, which I would be surprised. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you're one of those companies. But according to all the books I've read on the subject, because I read textbooks, I read all kinds of tax laws and corporations and stuff like that. So I'm not even talking about like most of them in my videos. I'm just talking about just I don't know, like just a little bit.
Exit 173. Continue in the right 2 lanes. Louisville.
So it looks like I got an exit coming up here. But anyways, that's the way I see it. And I've spoke to some people that are in charge to try to clarify this issue. And it is always a big topic with companies that try to hire, like drivers and stuff to work on their own vans, and they're saying they're contractors when really they're not. Since they're using your own equipment, they're using your own technical tool. A van is a tool, they're using your own tools, so they're considered an employee. It's not their vehicle. And if you're telling them you can't do any other work but only work that you provide, well, again, employees. So I know this video should not be really about this type of topic, but I figured, look, I'll throw it in free of charge. But yeah, so like that's one of the things to look at. I think a lot of companies out there and a lot of small businesses, they have this misconception that, for instance, like in landscaping, they think they hire some people to go cut some grass and stuff, and they call them contractors when they're really employees, because they don't want to buy like workman's comp and all the other goodies and provide like healthcare and deducting like taxes and stuff, because it's a lot of hassle. So companies, they try to find ways, well, how could we eliminate this hassle? And they say, oh, great, contractor. Well, he's in charge of getting his own stuff. So that's why there's that little dilemma. But anyways, talking about further into working just for one company, the thing that it's creating is they're sort of creating a monopoly by having you work just for them, because technically if you got their insurance, you can't use it for anybody else. You can't go and use their insurance and do loads for, say, like Panther, and they're another company that's wants you to work just for them. So they kind of get you stuck, so you have no choice but to work for them. So they could say, well, he can work for if he wants to, but he can't work using our insurance. So there you go. They just created like a loophole for themselves. You know what I mean? And you can go out technically and get another insurance, but now you're going to be paying 2 insurances, and you're going to say, well, why would I want to do that? So there you go. The way I do it is I have my own insurance, and the company I work for, they buy an insurance for me, so they're charging me $100 a month as well. So they told me, oh, you could drop your coverages, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to drop my coverages. Sure, I'm paying extra, but you don't know like what's going to happen. You don't want this monopoly being created over you. Like, if you have an issue, or they have an issue with you, or they're not like loading you or something, you could always have a backup plan, and you could say, well, they're not loading me for 2 days. Is this because there's no loads, or is this because I'm blacklisted? And if you think that you are blacklisted for one reason or another, then you might say, hey, I need to pick up another company, and you don't have a hassle of finding your insurance now because you're going to have everything, you know. So yeah, so that is the thing, guys. So I'm actually using the company's insurance when I'm working for them. That's what I'm under, but I have my own as well, and I'm not using my insurance for that. But my company is the certificate holder of my insurance. See, they're trying to be smart. If anything does happen, they're gonna say, well, we don't want to use our insurance, let's use yours. So they're not gonna get in trouble and get their rates raised. I know, like, all these little tricks that they're trying to pull. But either way, I mean, who's doing the trouble? If you're the one that's causing accidents, then why should they be responsible for you? You know, that's one of the things that some of the fleet owners that I talk to, they don't like. They're like, look, I got my own van drivers, they're causing accidents, but they're raising my rates. Why are they raising my rates? It's not fair. Because it's not me causing accidents, it's my drivers. And that's just the thing. It is upsetting. It's obviously going to make your insurance skyrocket, but that's just part of the deal. So I'm not sure that I really cover this topic enough. In case I didn't, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more tips. Have you guys heard of www.expeditorsonline.com? That website is specifically made for expeditors, and on that website there's every single company that's out there. Anybody there on that website. They have their phone numbers. All these logistics companies, you could call them, you could ask them, hey, will you take my van? How much is your insurance? How much is this? How much is that? If they tell you, yeah, we take you stuff, and you agree to all the rules, then you could be working with them. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because that's another question that I get. Can you tell me some of the phone numbers, to companies and stuff that I could call and I get hired because I have trouble of getting loads? I just answered that question today, and that's the website that I gave. So yeah, guys, that is the thing. Just go to that website. Not only that, you're gonna find companies to work with, you're gonna find blogs that other drivers put down, and they're talking about different kind of stuff, expediter related. And you're gonna find another thing, insurance. There's different phone numbers you could call for insurance, and maybe you're gonna get a better discount. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of information in one place, which is great. I think it's worth a try visiting them because everything's down there. Another way of getting all these phone numbers and stuff is stop by your local truck stop and pick up yourself one of the expediter books. There's trucking books, and there's one that's called Expeditors. You pick that up, you're gonna find every company in there. You're gonna look through it. Some companies you're gonna recognize, some you won't, because there's new companies being opened up every day. I'm pretty much one of them. I haven't opened up just this year. I've opened up years ago. Currently, I'm not booking any loads myself, and that's because I don't have my own authority yet. But I'm working right now. I'm getting my own authority, and once I do, I could actually load people. I could load myself, and that's another topic in itself, because nothing's that easy as getting your own authority. It's pretty involved, and anybody that gets it, they're gonna quickly realize, well, it's not so easy. It is as hard as they say it is. But keep in mind, guys, it's a business, and businesses that don't survive in 5 years, they usually fail. Some that make it over 5, they end up surviving, but most businesses fail within 1 year. And one of the reasons is because they cannot afford to pay monthly dues and stuff like that, and because they don't have enough work and stuff, so they're going to end up failing really quickly. So that's really important for you to try to establish yourself before you even open up your own company and stuff, and say, hey, what's the backup plan? Could I possibly load myself, or what am I going to do when I can't load myself? And that's what I'm doing now, is I'm working with other companies that's loading me, but I've also learned the business pretty well, and it gave me a lot of time to think, do I even want to open up this business? And I was thinking for a while that maybe it's not such a good idea, because it is difficult to start, and it is pretty involved. It's a lot of work. But I've been asking myself this time and time again, am I really having it this easy now? And the answer is no. I'm working 24/7, guys. I'm sometimes sleeping 3 hours a night, sometimes none at all, sometimes 6. And if I see that I have an opportunity to sleep 8 hours, I take that opportunity. So that's how this job is. It's pretty involved. It's pretty hard. So as hard as logistics company is to try to run one of those, it is still easier than expediting, because you're gonna number one, wake up in a warm house. You could like not even shave, like I don't even know. You could be still wearing your boxers, go to your computer, turn around and make some phone calls. You can't really do that with this job. I mean, you can't technically drive in your boxers, and I've seen some truckers go in their boxers to pick up a load with like a t-shirt on. I'm thinking, what? What's up with that? Like, you know, and they literally probably been doing this for years upon years upon years. They don't even care, you know. But the reason I joke about in boxers, I don't want to be over there working with boxers, but that's been kind of like my joke. I mean, that business, you could literally do in your pajamas, you know, and nobody's gonna know the difference, because it's your own computer, you're on it, you don't need no special office. It's nicer to have an office where you could just be there by yourself and stuff like that. So anyways, we are still talking about insurance. Another way of saving on insurance is for you to just take a course. It's going to take about $1,000. Well, it's going to cost about $1,000. It's going to be about 3 weeks long, and then you could become an insurance broker, and then you could be the one that's selling insurance. And then you might say, hey, well, I don't want to be an expedite anymore. I could just sell insurance to expediters, and then, well, you don't have to drive anymore. You're going to be making a killing. And you're probably going to have cheaper prices than some other places do. Or maybe you're going to say, well, why should I charge cheaper prices if everybody else is making a killing? Let me just charge a little less and just make all this extra money for myself. I'm just saying, it's out there. You could do it. And there's another way of doing it. If you are kind of rich, you can technically, let's say you have like $1 million and you want $1 million liability. Technically, you could self-insure, and you'll just have to set that money in a bank somewhere, and don't touch it, and say, look, I only have $1 million liability. I'm insured for myself. It's in a bank or in an escrow account of some sort. Hopefully, it's collecting interest rate. You know, there is ways of doing it. Once I know a little bit more and going to be a little bit more prepared for that type of topic, I'll tell you. But literally, there is a way to do it like that. So not only that, now you're saving money in insurance because you have your own money there. Now you're saving money. I mean, if you think about it like this, just think about it. Let's say, for instance, you have $50,000. You put this $50,000 into some kind of account where it's growing interest. Now you have a car payment. I mean, not a car payment, car insurance. Let's just say a regular car. That's why I'm saying 50,000. You know, your coverage is going to be about 50,000. And with your regular car, let's say insurance would cost you about $100 a month. And if you're somebody that has a lot of points on their license, it's going to cost you even more. So, I mean, look at this little trick. You could have your money right there. You could self-insure. You could say, look, I'm providing my own coverages with the $50,000 that I have in there. So now you're saving that $100 or more per month. And now in a year, you just accumulated $1,200. Even if that money was not under any kind of interest rate, you just made more money. In 50 years, you could make an extra $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. But if that account is creating interest, then man, you're going to be like way better off. I mean, it's going to be really collecting you some money. And if you're going to choose to send this money in that you're saving into that sort of like insurance thing, you're going to collect even more. You know, it's going to be really massive earnings and stuff. So I just told you a way technically to do it. All you have to do is just research this yourself. The idea is what actually matters. If you have the money to self-insure, then I just gave you an idea to try to do that. So I guess do some research. If you find out more than I did, hey, let me know. I would like to know. Then maybe I could, you know, pass down this information to somebody else that could save this. But so that is another thing. And now I'm going to talk about basically another thing that's insurance related. Let's say you chose a company, for instance, like Bolt Express, to try to work with them. And basically they're gonna put your own insurance, maybe $100 a month. I'm just guessing. So now you're saving a lot of money because you're not having to pay that $500 or $600 a month. But one thing you're going to need to realize is those companies, they have other deductions. Sometimes they'll deduct for satellite, sometimes they deduct for even having a driver next to you or a passenger, and document fees and application fees and monthly fees. They make up all these other fees and stuff. So just look at that, guys, because every company is different. Everybody has different fees. I mean, I've seen it as bad as with a company, let's say, like, for instance, Nations Express. You probably don't, maybe some of you guys remember who they were. Maybe some of you guys that, don't. But they used to be pretty big. You used to see their vans all over every single truck stop. But what they were doing is, they didn't have a lot of work, but they were still doing orientations 3 times a week. And orientation class would be about 2 days. So once after that orientation day, they have another orientation day and another. And what they were doing is they were making you buy their insurance. So technically, I think they were making more money from insurance and they were making money from loads. But the problem is the drivers wasn't. For the 2 weeks you would work for them, you're going to be kind of busy. It means you did have work. The next 2 weeks, no work. You might have a load there and there, here and there. And what they were doing is, let's say they have 200 drivers. They're going to say, okay, we don't have loads for 200 drivers. We only have loads for 100 drivers. So let's try to, we'll load these guys these 2 weeks and these guys the next 2 weeks. And I think literally that's what they were doing. Maybe it's a conspiracy, but I've got together with many drivers in the past before my YouTube channel. And he would be from Nations Express, and I would say, hey, how was your week been? He's like, oh, I've been busy 2 weeks, and now I'm like sitting for 2 weeks. Really? I've been the same way. How about you, the next guy? Same thing. Busy 2 weeks, not busy the next 2 weeks. Guys, when I quit working for them, they were begging me not to quit working for them. You know how much I made in 2 weeks? $800 the first week, $500 the second week. I'm basically owner-operator, using my own van. And to make $1,300, how are you going to survive? You can't. That's how bad it was. So they're telling me, please don't leave. Oh, it's going to get better. No, it's not. Leave. Don't feel bad for the companies. If you're not getting loaded, if you're not getting paid, maybe waste a week. Don't waste no more than a week. Move on. In 1 week, you could find out if the company is good or not. That's why I still work with a small company that I work with. They don't like to hire anybody new. They're more like, same like me. They find good drivers that they want to work with, and they want to keep it that way. And the only reason, like they do hire sometimes, but what they do is the last drivers, they say, hey, do you know anybody that's any good? And if you do, let me know. And then they decide if they want to hire them or not. But they don't really answer calls and stuff, and people trying to just solicit them to get a job with them. That's not the kind of company they are. They're really small, and they want to keep it that way because they want to be able to, first of all, manage it, like in their own home, and they don't want to really grow to where they have to hire like people and stuff. They're just keeping it kind of like a small family thing, and they're keeping me busy, and I know how they work. And guys, believe me, most of you would not want to work like this. It's because I already know a lot of drivers that quit working with them, because this is one thing they don't do. They don't call you up and say, hey, do you want to take this load? They give you the load. That's it. Boom, you got it. It's a text message. Go pick it up. Maybe you're going to say that's a good thing because I want to get loads. Well, a positive thing about that is they don't bother you with phone calls. They don't call you every morning and say, hey, are you ready? Are you available? Can you tell us you're available? Do you want to take this load or you want to take that? They call me up when they have the load, and they do call me up sometimes to find out that I get a text message, because sometimes the text message doesn't go through, because as soon as you get it, you need to respond that you got it, Yeah, but anyways, guys, some other things are like, they don't tell you how much they're going to pay you for that load. So if they've been paying you a set amount, then you could expect that that's how much you're going to be getting. They don't pay you no head-to-head. They don't pay you no fuel surcharge. Basically, they don't pay you for extra stops. Stuff like that. But sometimes they pay that head. I'm not going to say they don't all the time, but sometimes, like, if you have a deadhead of 500 miles, you know, or less, they'll pay you some deadhead. They're not going to have you drive for free. But anyways, guys, I'm already losing my voice at the end of this video. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please hit a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, because I have tons of information on expediting, on sprinters, and some other stuff. So please subscribe, like, and share my videos. It's going to help out, you know, other people, you know, as well. But one thing I will tell you guys, I want to become the main source on YouTube for sprinter related information and expediting and also business, stuff like that. But I'm working on those topics. If you search right now, Google, anything expedited related or anything sprinter related, my videos are going to be popping up anyways. So I'm here to stay. The algorithms already figured out that my channel has some good information, and people do engage with the channel. They do, you know, watch the videos and stuff. And I'm here to stay. I make videos every single day. So I like to help my viewers. So if you have questions, and if it's a complicated topic like this one, I definitely make a video on it, and then I post a day later or 2 days later. So in this case, it's going to be posted a day later because I already posted a video today. But that's the thing. I think it's valuable information, and you might learn some stuff you don't plan on learning from this video. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Stay safe out there. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to answer them happily for you. So take care of yourself, guys. Bye-bye.